One, two, three. Listen.
Welcome to Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal. Joining me today are the happy pair. Welcome to Real Welcome to Real Deal. I am Brian Rose, and we are live here at London Real World headquarters to talk about London's housing crisis. It's threatening our future, and our mayor has failed on his promises to build affordable homes for our citizens in this city. I have listened to all of you, and this is the number one concern that I hear from our citizens. 67% of you say that it is the one main thing on your mind: the unaffordable rent and the unaffordable housing prices if you want to buy in the city. I want to address it today. I want to go through the history of our current mayor and how he has failed to deliver on his promises. Then I want to take a step back. I want to go from a 30,000-foot view and really look at the entire London housing problem for the past 20 years. And then I want to provide my solution to you that we can actually enact within months, not years, and solve this housing crisis now. Enough of the talk, enough of the two-party system bickering back and forth and blaming each other. Let's solve this problem for our citizens. We've got families out there, we've got children that need homes, and this is no longer acceptable. And I'll be honest with you, the more I looked into the numbers beyond housing in this city, the more I realized what a travesty it is what our current mayor has done to us and done to families and hardworking Londoners by not providing them affordable housing. This is a major crisis in the city, and it can be solved. And when I start sharing with you some of the numbers, you're going to be shocked at the poor performance of our current mayor and how simply this can be fixed. So there's going to be three parts today, and I want to hear from you throughout. So I'm going to be asking your questions and reading them out here. No matter what platform you're watching us on live, I think we're on 4 different social platforms right now. Type your comments below, either during the live episode or after. I'm going to try to reply to everyone and read your comments out here because, again, I'm here to serve you as your next mayor of London. We're going to do this together. We need to come up with the best ideas, and we need to do the best thing for our citizens, not for our leaders, and that's what this is all about. So the first section, I want to go into detail about how our current mayor of London has failed us with his promises to build affordable houses to buy and to rent. And I want to go into detail on that, and I want to show you his numbers on performance. Next, I want to talk to you about why is London in a housing crisis? And I want to understand the root of the problem. And the truth is that rent and home prices are too high. The real root of the problem is that your income is growing by only 1% per year. And yet housing prices are growing at over 7% per year. And if you compound that over 10 years or 20 years, you can start to see exactly why houses are too expensive to afford to buy or to rent. I also want to explain to you why the previous mayors, this is 20 years of mayors in this city, have all failed to build enough affordable houses. All of them have failed because the mentality is wrong, and I want to explain exactly why. Next, I want to introduce my concept and why I believe that financial motive must prevail. You've got to make it in the interest of independent contractors and builders, in their financial interest, to build these affordable homes. If you try to mandate it from the top with penalties, you're always going to get those substandard affordable housing that we see that no one wants to live in and no one should live in. So let's create real, sustainable, livable homes for our citizens here in London. And finally, I want to present to you my solution. And it's something called modular homes. And I want to go into detail exactly how incredible this technology can be used. And again, it's only in the past 5 years, in my opinion, where these really have become a viable option. And the beautiful thing about modular homes is this. First of all, they're customizable. One of the biggest problems we see with our affordable housing is they're good for one type of family, but not good for a smaller family or a larger family, and they can't be changed after they're built. Modular homes are customizable. Next, they're flexible. They can be built in a range of options. Third of all, they're fast. We can build these fast in a factory and have them custom built and custom made and shipped. And the best part is that we can provide new housing in boroughs all across the city within months, not years. Let me repeat that. Within months, not years. It's taken our mayors in London 20 years not to be able to build this affordable housing. I promise you we can make a dent in this in a matter of months. And I know that seems incredulous, but it actually can be done. And I'm going to explain to you at the very end my policy to put London's housing first. So super excited to have you here today. Again, stay with me. This is going to be an incredible broadcast. The numbers themselves are incredible for you to know as a citizen. Again, we arm ourselves with the data, and then we can go against any politician's narrative. And that's the problem with our current crop of politicians. They have vested interests. They just want to be reelected. They have these parties they belong to for hundreds of years with tens of millions of dollars in corporate lobbying interest. We can't trust them to make the best decision, but the best idea will always win. And I want to share with you the data, and I want to get your opinion. Let me know if you think my conclusions are correct. And if not, let's have a discussion. That's why I'm on social media, because I want to talk to you as your next mayor of London. And when I'm in City Hall, this dialogue continues every single day. I want to hear from you. I want to get your feedback. I want you to tell me, how am I doing? If I'm not doing a good enough job, I need to do better to serve you better. So that's what this is about. I want to start off right now and get your thoughts on our current housing crisis. So please type in whatever platform you're on right now and answer these questions for me. First of all, do you personally struggle to afford to pay your rent or to buy a house currently in London? Answer that question for me and explain why. Second, do you believe that key workers like teachers, nurses, firefighters deserve affordable housing in this city? Tell me, and why. Third, has the current mayor of London failed in his promises to deliver affordable housing to our citizens? How do you feel about that? And finally, do you think we need new leadership, new ideas, and take London in a new direction? And as you probably know by now, in the last couple months, at least most people on the streets know by now, I am running to be your next mayor of London. And this is a decision that I took many months to consider. And trust me, I was speaking with a taxi driver last night named Ben, and he said, so what's the story, Brian? Did you always plan when you came here 20 years ago to be mayor? And I laughed. I said, no, this is the last thing I wanted to do. I run a successful business and an incredible broadcasting platform that I'm so privileged to be a part of. And we've got incredible work to do here at London Real in telling you the truth. But I couldn't sit by and watch this current crop of politicians run our incredible city into the ground. And let's make no mistake about it. That's exactly what our current mayor of London is doing. He's driving our city into the ground. That means the future of your children. That means our livelihoods, our businesses, our quality of life, our health, our mental health. It's all going down because of the decisions of one man who most people I meet thinks he's doing a horrible job and thinks we need to get rid of him right away. Obviously, on May 6th, you need to put that into practice with a vote. But I decided to run for mayor because, honestly, if I don't do it, I don't see anyone else out there who can do it. The truth is, right now, I am the only viable candidate. And if I don't get in there to make the changes, you're going to have another 3 or 4 years of your current mayor. Is that what you want? That's the question you really want to ask yourself. Do you want another 3 or 4 years of this guy at the helm? You probably don't. And so that's why I've decided to run as your mayor of London. Incredibly, the odds makers have put us in second right from the beginning, and we are moving into first as we speak. So you can probably see the odds makers I put up here. And again, I don't encourage gambling, but the odds are still pretty good in some of these odds makers. But you know, our good friends over at Paddy Power have us as a 4-1. I think that's still easy money, to be honest. But we're way ahead of the conservative candidate. And let me just emphasize, this is only because of you. It's only because of the support that I have from Londoners out there and the way you're talking about me as your next mayor of London, and I appreciate it. Again, I'm humbled by the opportunity to serve you. I really am. And I look forward to going into that office and making these changes that are so easy to make. There's nothing complicated about making these changes. We just need someone in there who wants to serve the people, and that's what I plan on doing. So again, an independent candidate like myself has never been in second place as the mayor of London. This has never happened in history, but it's because of you. We're honored, but we're here to win this race and make the changes. And again, it doesn't take rocket science to know what we need to do, and we're looking forward to getting in there. So thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Please keep forwarding our videos, talking about this with your friends and family. And of course, we need you to vote on May 6th next year. That's really the ultimate test, and I'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. Also, I want to say that the Brian for Mayor World Tour starts today. And a lot of people are laughing at me when I say that in the streets. They're saying, Brian, why do you need a world tour for mayor? But we're calling it that because my plan is to visit every single borough in the City of London before Election Day And it's important because I want to go on the ground and listen to the challenges that you are facing as citizens in London. And we're kicking it off tonight with the borough of Hackney. We're going to Homerton, which is an area I used to visit actually every single week when I was mentoring a 10-year-old boy there with this program called Chance UK, and I used to go there all the time. So we're going to the Homerton Community Center tonight at 6 p.m., and I'll be speaking to the audience there, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you, listening to the issues. I'm bringing my wife with me, which I'm super excited. Some say that she's much more attractive than me, and you're probably right, and I'm super excited that she's coming. She's an incredible woman. She's a great mother, and she's got a lot of incredible ideas for also helping to move our city forward. So she'll be there with me tonight. You can go to our website, brianformayor.london, and book your ticket for the borough when I come to see you. And again, we're going to go to every single borough in this city, all 33 of them, and I want to come and see you. So book your ticket now, go to our website, and there'll be a page there for our support page where you can get your ticket now and come see me in person, come ask me your questions, tell me your concerns, take a picture with me. Again, this is about the people, and we're all going to do this together as a community, as a group of Londoners. We're all moving into City Hall together, and we're going to start making changes. So I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you in your borough. So let's start off and talk about the reason I'm here today, and that is that your current mayor of London, he's failed us. He's flat out failed us when it comes to building affordable homes to rent and buy in this city. And like I said before, 67% of Londoners cite housing as their biggest concern. This is something that's on the mind of every single Londoner. When you have to pay that massive rent bill every single month, when you need to pay that massive house price just to have a place to put a roof over your head and a place where your family can live, it's unacceptable. And we've seen the headlines. Every single week we see another headline about how poor our current mayor is performing. And I'll put a few up here on screen, not that you need to be reminded, but this is one from City AM that says, Sadiq Khan set to build just half of annual housing target. And I'm going to go into some of these numbers lately in detail here, and it's actually quite shocking. And so let me go back into the history of what our current mayor promised. Back in 2016, when he was elected, he promised to build 80,000 homes per year. Let me repeat that. He promised to build 80,000 homes per year if he was elected as your mayor. And he said, quote, "We have a housing crisis in London and it's my #1 issue." I can't believe he actually said that. Once you see his performance, you'll see how duplicitous and how shocking that statement is. Let's look at the numbers. Since becoming mayor in May 2016, he has started the building of only 34,515 homes have even been started since 2016. Think about that. 34,000 have only been started, with only 12,000 homes being completed since he started becoming your mayor. Nearly 5 years, only 12,000 of those homes have been completed. Think about that number. 12,000 homes in a city of 9 million people. That's what your current mayor of London has delivered to you on that big promise back from 2016. And I've got more numbers for you here. And again, we see these headlines all the time. You can see this one on screen. Sadiq Khan to miss housing target. Yeah, you think so? We know that. And again, let me go into more of the details here. So let's do the math. He promised us 80,000 new homes per year. Time 5 years, that comes to a total number of new houses that he promised us of 400,000 new houses is what he promised us during his term. And he owes us those 400,000 homes. And how many did he deliver? 12,000 homes. Think about the contrast, but that's not even 10%. It's actually 3% of what he promised is what he delivered. And that is one of the major reasons that we currently face this crisis in London, because he has failed to deliver on his promises of building affordable homes. And again, you see more of the headlines here. Here he is on a balcony with his good friend Jeremy Corbyn, and it says, Sadiq Khan's housing plans holds renters to ransom. And that's exactly what it does. When there's not enough supply, you have to foot the bill with those massive rent payments every month. I pay rent every month, and it's a massive payment. You have to foot the bill when you have to pay those exorbitant house prices just to give your family a roof over their head. It's unacceptable. And so it's no wonder that housing is the biggest concern of the citizens of London, because neither you and I can afford to rent or buy our homes. And you can see more of these headlines that I'm putting on screen. And again, it's just hard to watch these. This one says, quote, Sadiq Khan was on track to miss affordable homes target even before the coronavirus crisis. So again, as we've seen with him in TFL and so many other things, he tries to blame the coronavirus crisis on his repeated failings on everything. And this is yet another one that he's trying to blame, but he can't. But it gets even worse. In 2018, City Hall received £4.8 billion from the national government in order to build 116,000 new homes by 2022. Again, 2022 is not far away. In 1 month, it'll be 2021, so it's 1 year later. He received £4.8 billion from the national government to build 116,000 new homes. 2 years later, where are those homes? Where are those homes? That's what I ask our current mayor of London right now. Sadiq Khan, where are those homes that you promised? Where are the homes that the national government paid for? Where are the homes that we need right now for our citizens so they can put a roof over their children's heads? That's what I ask you. And here's another headline. Again, these are every single week we see these. London Tories slam Mayor Sadiq Khan over housing pledge and say he'll miss home completion targets, which we know. And let's look into what happened this year in 2020. In the first half of this year, only 1,600 new affordable homes were completed. You heard me right. 1,600 homes were completed this year. Not the 80,000 he promised when a lot of Londoners trusted him and voted for him back in 2016. Not the nearly 116,000 that he was given nearly £5 billion to deliver this year. He completed no more than 1,600. And let me say one more fact that's going to shock you even further. New data has revealed that over 30,000 homes, exactly 30,616 homes in the capital right now, are lying long-term empty. So there's currently 30,000 homes in the capital right now that are long-term empty, that could be used as a potential solution. On top of that, the mayor has not delivered his 80,000 homes per year. And on top of that, where has the £5 billion gone that he was given by the national government to build 116,000 new homes? What did we get this year? 1,600 new homes. These figures are shocking. But we know they're true because we look at our rent payments and we look at our housing prices. And I'm going to go into detail in our second section. But it's not just me saying this. Let's look at what people are saying here in the city. We've got Assembly Member Andrew Boff, who recently said, quote, Sadiq Khan has been given a record amount of money. He should have been doing an awful lot more. People's housing needs are getting worse. There are more families living in overcrowded conditions, and yet the mayor just issues statement after statement about wanting more government investments. And you can see another headline here that says how Sadiq Khan's housing policy is making London's housing crisis worse. And that's exactly what we see from this data. We see it getting worse and worse and worse. Your current mayor's plans are not making the situation better. You can see by his promises, they're actually making this situation even worse. Let's go on to another quote from the Secretary of State for Housing here in the UK, Robert Jenrick, said directly to the mayor. He said, quote, housing delivery in London under your mayoralty has been deeply disappointing. Clearly, the housing delivery shortfall you have overseen has led to worsening affordability for Londoners, and things are not improving, end quote. This is the conclusion that we can all see. The current mayor of London knew he couldn't deliver these promises. The current mayor of London never intended to keep his promises, which makes us conclude one thing. How can we believe anything he continues to say? How can we believe anything he continues to say? And so this is the current state of what our current mayor of London has done. I want to get your thoughts right now. Tell me, do you personally struggle to afford to pay your rent, and why? Do you personally struggle to buy a property in this city, and why? Do you think that our key workers, like our nurses and our police officers and our firemen and our teachers, deserve affordable housing in this city? Answer that question for me. Has the current mayor of London failed in his promises to build affordable housing, and why? And finally, do you think we need new leadership Do you think we need new policies? And do you think we need to take London in a new direction? Right now, I'm going to go. I want to see your comments right now. And please comment, whatever platform you're on right now, Instagram, Facebook, I'm getting them all here. And I appreciate everyone here. And I've got one of our regular guests here, Elle Macpherson, coming at us from Florida. Elle, we appreciate you. And yes, that is the Elle Macpherson that we all know and love, who's just an icon throughout her life. She says on Instagram, good morning, you're on fire. Brian for mayor. Thank you, Elle. We really appreciate you. She's on Instagram, says Brian Rose for mayor, and a lot of great comments here. Rafael on Instagram says Brian for mayor. Eric Wadman on YouTube says, Brian, you're a fantastic dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Dave the Boris on Instagram saying, Brian works a lot. This man is a machine. Brian for mayor. And it's true. We have a great team here, and every single day we are diving into the numbers. We are finding out the best policies and the best ideas to make your city better. Trust me, we work 24/7 here. It feels like. We've got Baljandir Kumar on YouTube says, your way of asking questions is awesome, man. Thank you so much. Mr. Mike on Instagram says, we're moving to London if you becoming mayor. I appreciate that. We can always use new citizens here, and we're going to find you housing as well, I promise. Umakat Design on Instagram says, good luck, friend. Thank you, sir. Kamai on Instagram says, I would come down to see you in London. I'm from Nottingham. I appreciate our brothers and sisters in the north. Keep fighting up there. James Ramsey on YouTube says, Brian, you're a great man. Shine on and win. Thank you so much. On the housing crisis, we've got Shendao Simon Films on Instagram says, been waiting for a mayor to say this for the last 10 years. Thank you. And again, the more I look into these numbers, the more, first of all, I'm shocked, the more I'm dismayed by our current lack of mayors, failed promises, and the more I can also see a solution, which I want to share with you. Right Muggs on Instagram says, rent is too damn high. Amen, brother. You said it there, and I'm going to talk about solutions next. We got Dominic Hughes on YouTube says, quote, London's rent prices are criminal. It wouldn't be so bad if you got value for money. £1,000 for a one bed flat, not including bills, is ridiculous. That's an incredible statement, Dominic. I appreciate you stating that. And we all feel this way as Londoners. It's criminal. And you don't get value for money, but it's because of the current mayor and his failed promises. That's why. And we can solve this problem. I'm going to show you how. We've got Haifa Live on Instagram says, quote, house prices in the London suburbs are ridiculous. So glad we have a free thinker standing up for us. I appreciate you. And again, this is about the best ideas. The problem I'm learning, the more I learn about our current two-party system here, is that the best idea doesn't win. They have strange agendas that have nothing to do with our citizens getting the best. And we're going to change that, I promise you. Pop Sugar Sprinkles, great name, by the way, on YouTube, says, quote, first step is to become aware of the housing crisis. Second step is to understand that affordable, safe, adequate, comfortable housing is a basic human need, not a luxury. Affordable housing is nearly impossible to find, unquote. Extremely well said. I appreciate that. And again, quality housing is not a luxury. It should be a basic human right. And as your next mayor of London, I promise that every citizen here in London will have that option. And we can do it. It's right in front of us, and I'm going to show you the solution. Some great questions coming in as well. Johnson N on YouTube says, quote, what's your plans for London Underground? Great question. We actually have a new policy called Transport First that's going to be dropping today on our website. It's got a new idea to how we approach infrastructure, how we fund it, and also how we get our transport above ground here in London working. So go to our website for more about that. Also, we've got Benjamin's Universe on Instagram saying, quote, Brian, I will be voting for you, but how can you ensure that you don't split the vote with the Tories and get Sadiq reelected? Honestly, we plan on winning. There's no prizes for second place. We plan on winning because it's essential that we win. Otherwise, we can't put these policies in place. So again, we believe the best ideas win. We think we have the best ideas, and our plan is to go implement those in City Hall on May 7th, and that is our plan. So let me get into part two, and I really appreciate you being here. I really think that education is key. If you understand the data, if you've got the numbers, you can make the best qualified decision. And again, I want your feedback. If you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm off, let me know. That's exactly why we had this two-way street. And I promise, as your next mayor of London, this dialogue continues. I will be talking to you every single day on social media. I'll be posting videos. I'll be listening to your comments. And that's why together we will make this city and take it in a new direction. We will do this together, and I'm looking forward to it. So let's just stop for a second, and let's stop pointing the fingers, and let's stop talking about the blatant, obvious failures of our current mayor. Everyone knows he's doing a poor job when it comes to pretty much everything, and especially building affordable housing. Let's look at the problem without emotion. just for a second, let's look at why this problem exists here in London. And this is a great exercise. So stay with me, and I'm going to show with you some incredible graphs that illustrate this. So again, I've just decided to clear the slate and look at this from a scientific, data-driven perspective and do my own research. And a lot of this came from a great article by Luke Christo from Verdict Magazine. You can go watch it, and a lot of the figures I'm quoting from that, and we vetted on our own. And the truth is this, is that London, it's a world leader. We are a world leader when it comes to our culture, our media, our advertising, and our business. We're the best. That's why I love this city so much. The problem is that the UK capital is a victim of its own success when it comes to our housing market, and I want to explain that. We are really good at creating excellent jobs, but we are really poor when it comes to building adequate housing. We know that, and I'm going to show you exactly why. As a result, we as Londoners, all of us, struggle with national statistics. The London's population surged to 8.8 million people in 2017, and it's continued to grow. The population in the capital has been growing 1.1% on average annually since 2012, which means this: 96,000 new Londoners appear every single year. 96,000 additional people come to this city. And look, you're welcome. We love it when this city grows because it helps build a greater city as long as we can provide housing, which we've done a very poor job of. Under the current Labour mayoralty and under the Tories as mayor, the whole 20 years of mayoralty has done a poor job when it comes to housing, and I'm going to show you why. Let me go on and explain more numbers to you. According to the Greater London Authority's housing report, just 20,030 new homes have been built in the capital every year on average over the last decade. So let's talk about those two numbers. Every year, 96,000 new people come to this city. Every year, only 20,000 new homes are built. It doesn't take an A-level in maths, as we would say here in Britain, or a genius in maths, as we would say in America, to realize that those two numbers, they're going the wrong way. There's more people coming in than we have new houses being built, and we're going to suffer a crisis. The problem is even when those numbers start skewing a little bit, house prices and rent go skyrocketing almost exponentially, and that's the problem. Let me show you this table on screen right now, because this is really the problem we all face every single day, and this is the cost of housing. And this is according to the consultancy firm ECA International, and it's something that we all know as Londoners, so this is not news for us, and that's this: London is the most expensive city in Europe for renting accommodation. Let's talk about real numbers. The average cost for renting an unfurnished 3-bedroom apartment in inner city London is 3 times the cost of the average across Europe. 3 times the cost. Look at that bar graph. It's triple. No wonder it's impossible to live in this city in a reasonable manner. But let's go even further than that. Let's talk about purchasing a property. Purchasing a property is also just not an option for most Londoners. Most people know that. Let's find out why. According to gov.uk's UK House Price Index, the average cost of a property in London is £486,000. Think about that. £486,000. That is £294,000 more expensive than the rest of the UK on average. I mean, that's crazy. Nearly £500,000 for a house on average here in London. According to the salary information here on the website PayScale, the average London worker earns £34,900 on average. If we plug that in to the British Bank Halifax mortgage calculator, and you can go to their website or HSBC's website, that means that if you're making the average £34,900, you could afford a mortgage of £165,800. That number is very, very much shy what you need, which is $486,000 for the average house price. In fact, you could triple that number that comes from the mortgage calculator and still barely be able to afford an average house price in London. And this is because of simply one reason. House prices have increased more than wages. I know it sounds simple, but I want to explain that exactly why. This is the real problem. This is why houses are 3 times more than most of us can afford. And I want to explain exactly why. I want to show you a graph. Let's go into this and look at data published by the Office of National Statistics again. And it shows the cost of a property in London has continued to climb by 7.7% on average over the last decade. And I'll show you this table here. However, at the same time, From 2011 to 2017, average wage increases have increased by just 1.1% annually, from 37,750 to now approaching that number I spoke earlier, about 34,900. Look at this table on the screen. I'm going to leave it up there for some time. You see these massive numbers that are going all the way to the right of your screen. That's how much housing is increasing, 7 to 8% a year. And yet your salary is only growing by 1%. This is the root of the problem. This is the root of the problem. And if this continues, which it will continue without some major change, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You think it's bad now. Wait until 2021, 2022. God forbid, under the current mayor, his policies are going to make this worse and worse and worse, to where your rent payments are going to go up, the housing prices are going to go up, and it's going to keep scaling over and over and over again. So again, London is a victim of its own success. Our houses are going up and our wages are not staying competitive. And so in order to solve this massive disparity, we've got to rethink this problem entirely from a completely different angle. And that's the problem with our current crop of politicians. And that's the problem with our current two-party system. They all have the same groupthink. They've been thinking the same way for hundreds and hundreds of years. They can't really come up with revolutionary new policies, because if they do, it proves their own party's policies were wrong for the past 10 or 20 years. As an independent candidate, I can bring new ideas to the table. I don't have a history that I have to explain to you. And honestly, I just wish they would just admit they were wrong and come up with some new ideas. I think we would all forgive them if it helped us acquire affordable housing. And so I want to explain to you my ideas, but before we get on there, I want to get your thoughts on the numbers I just shared. Again, average house price here in London, £486,000. That is so much higher, nearly £300,000 the national average in the UK. Your pay increases by 1% every year. Housing prices go up by nearly 8% a year. How can you keep up with that? You just can't. And we need a better solution. So I want to get your thoughts right now. Please type in and tell me, do you personally struggle to afford to pay rent in this city, and why? Do you personally struggle to buy an affordable home, and why? Do you believe that our key workers, I'm talking about our teachers, our nurses, our firefighters, our police, do you think that they deserve to have affordable housing in this city? Answer me this question. Has the current mayor of London failed in his promises to build affordable homes? And finally, I want you to tell me, do you think we need new leadership? Do you think we need new policies? Do you think we need to take London in a new direction? So please type in your thoughts and answers on whatever platform you're watching this on, before and after. I want to hear that. And man, my screen's lighting up with all of your answers here. Again, I really appreciate you being here on these broadcasts. I appreciate you sharing this video, even right now, with your friends and family so they can join us. Everyone needs to know these numbers. If you're armed by the data, then the politicians, they can't talk over you. Then you know when they're telling you the truth and when they're lying to you. Rosbaz on Instagram says, quote, love that this is a born American checking the English folks, all right? Look, I appreciate you saying this. The truth is that I've lived in this city for 20 years. I feel like a Londoner. I've been a British citizen for 13 years. My kids were born here. They're British. I plan on being buried in this city. So although the accent might trick you, I am a Londoner born and bred. Don't get that confused. And I look forward to taking this city in a new direction. The truth is, this city has always been enriched by the people that have immigrated to this place, including the Romans, the Saxons, the Vikings, and so many other people from all over Europe and all over the world. It makes us stronger. So I appreciate that. Frost on Instagram says, Brian for mayor, I appreciate that. Andre Costa says the same thing, Brian for mayor, as does Nikki Vincent. I appreciate your sentiment. Nori Maria on Instagram says, Brian, quote, you're full of energy. We need you and you're ready to change London. I appreciate that. And Björ Yusinov on Instagram says, quote, I love London and so do I. And you know, a lot of people say, Brian, where does the energy come from? Like, I'll be honest with you. I don't even know. The last 3 months since I announced my plans to become your mayor, I've got energy I never knew. I always had a lot of energy doing London Real, but now I feel that there's this extra source. And I think it's because I feel like I'm finally living my life's purpose to make a major change in a major city and really serve 9 million people. But I've got so much energy, I can barely sleep at night. I'm just always thinking of ways that we can make this city better. So I appreciate you noticing, all right? On housing, we've got Zixtro Fitness on Instagram saying, quote, all the politicians do is say what the people want to hear, but the actions are nil. And I appreciate you pointing that out, and that's the truth. And that's why we have to go back and find out what they said. And like I said, our current mayor of London promised to build 80,000 houses per year. This year, he built 1,600. All right? I mean, you can see the track record there. And again, they tell you what they want to hear, but then they don't deliver, and that's unacceptable. Dominic on YouTube says, quote, "It makes it very difficult for those in the arts from working class backgrounds to keep their heads above water in a city they need to be in to progress their careers." Dominic, I couldn't agree with you more. The reason I love London is because of the great culture of this city. And that comes from people in the arts. It comes from independent entrepreneurs. It comes from people all around the world. And if they can't afford to live here, then we don't have a great city anymore. So we have to address this problem. It's so important. Christina Valentina on Instagram says, quote, "I'm a nurse. We don't just need affordable housing. We need housing that we fully own, not just 5% or 30%. It's a great point, Christina, and I couldn't agree with you more. We have to have affordable housing to buy and to rent. We need to give people the option. But how can you do this, Valentina, if the average house price is £465,000? It's ridiculous. We need more affordable housing, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do that next. We've got the Joel Dio on Instagram that says, quote, "Nice dude, good structure. I'm glad you're keeping things transparent. I appreciate you. And again, I'm here hopefully to teach you things every single week that you can use to make intelligent decisions. And again, I want you to make your own decisions. So this is information for you. Tell me, do you agree? Do you don't agree? Make your own decision and then use your vote to get someone in power who's going to act in your interests. That's what a democracy is all about. Let's make it happen." A few other points from social coming in right now. Jason on Instagram says, quote, "I personally struggle to see how Sadiq Khan could improve this city." Jason, you know, you said it. I do as well. I struggle to see how another 3 years of this guy is going to do anybody any good. So the one way to show that is to vote. That's on May 6th. Wandering in Heels, great name on Instagram, says, quote, "Sadiq Khan is the worst mayor we have ever had. Knife crime has never been so bad in the UK. Sadiq Khan has also ruined the city's public transportation system," unquote. You've said it so well. The last two episodes I've had here on Real Deal, we've discussed exactly that. Last week, we spoke very seriously and soberly about knife crime and how it's gotten to nightmare proportions. And before that, we talked about the mayor's continued failings when it comes to Transport for London and bankrupting that entity. I appreciate your thoughts, and I promise to solve those as soon as I get into office. Sim 2.0 on IG says, quote, "How can you do better than Sadiq? Honestly, how can I do any worse? Seriously, how can anyone do any worse than what this man has done?" It's so easy, and I'm going to show you what we can do on housing. With knife crime, I outlined it last week. With TfL, I outlined it before that. The truth is I have detailed policies on exactly what I will do as your next mayor of London. You can go to brianformayor.london. Of all the candidates currently running for mayor, my policies are more detailed. And yet, I started later than them, and I don't have a party with thousands of members and hundreds of millions of pounds in financing, and yet my policies are more detailed and quite frankly better than theirs. So yeah, just go on my website. I'll show you exactly how, but I appreciate you asking me. Let's hold our politicians to task, definitely. Also, I can operate outside of their system. There is no one telling me what to do except for me and you telling me what to do. It's beautiful. It's the way politics should work. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way anymore. A couple last questions before I finish off. Vitaly Albu on Instagram says, quote, "People are afraid. They can't do anything. It is horrible what's going on." You're right. Next, we have Ihani Macris on Instagram that says, quote, "Take away the congestion charge. Get London working again." I couldn't agree with you. Part of my Get London Back to Work policy is removing the congestion charge for 6 months on a congestion charge holiday and dropping business rates to 0 for the next 6 months. We have to do it right now to get London back to work. We've got George Pavitt on YouTube that says, quote, "Key workers, NHS, police, and fire services deserve better pay. I'd like to see a government that values the public sector." I'd like to see your thoughts, and I appreciate that. We appreciate key workers. They are essential, and they need housing solutions. Otherwise, what are we going to do as a city? We've got to find affordable housing. Otherwise, we have no teachers. We have no nurses. We have no firefighters. We have no police, which means we have no city. So we've got to look out for these people, and it all starts with affordable housing. So let me get to my final point, and this is crucial. I appreciate you spending time with me. Again, you know my policy here at London Real. Don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. That's what I tell my team every single day, and that's what I'm bringing to you. Anybody can bring problems. Everybody knows the mayor has failed us. Everyone can see that he's not doing a good job, that he has failed to deliver on his promises, that he's failed to build affordable housing. So what's the solution? Well, first of all, we must stop talking about building houses and start building houses. Now, I know that seems obvious, but if you look at the last 5 years under your current mayor, if you look at the previous 8 years on the conservative mayor, if you look at the previous 8 years before that with your Labor Party mayor, they did not build enough affordable homes. They talked about it, but if they had, we wouldn't have this problem. So first of all, we've got to start building homes, period. That is my number one metric as your next mayor of London. Now, how can we do it? Well, there's some incredible new technology that has really been, in my opinion, honed and perfected in the past 5 years. So maybe this wasn't an option 20 years ago, but it is an option and has been for the past 5 years. And it's called modular housing. And let me explain exactly what modular housing is. And let me put a picture of it, of one example of what modular housing looks like on the screen. And you can see an example of what modular housing looks like. And let me explain exactly what it is. A modular home is one that's built indoors in a factory-like setting. So again, it's built somewhere off-site. The finished products are covered and then transported to their new locations where a builder assembles them. A modular home, to be clear, is not a mobile home. It is simply a home that's built off-site. And I want to show you a couple other pictures of modular housing. And again, you might see some of these pictures and say, wow, I see that housing in places before. I've seen that in our city before, and maybe the local city, but you never realized it was a modular home. But you can see what they look like. They look fantastic. You see them in a lot of places in this city, but they've never been adopted for homes to be built or encouraged to be built by our government at scale. Let me tell you some of the incredible benefits of a modular home. And again, to be clear, these things can be designed and built and delivered. And so that's the beautiful thing. They are customizable. You can literally order a single parent home with 2 children. You can order a 2-parent home. You can order a home for 4 people, for 6 people, for 8 people, for 1 person. It can all be completely customizable. They're also flexible. So you can build a modular home for 1 person and later convert that to a 2-person home, to a 4-person home without having to rebuild. Imagine that. It's one of the biggest problems we face right now with affordable housing is once you build it, you can't change it later. And we know that the needs of our housing are constantly changing. We know we constantly need to be flexible. I need a 4-person home. I need a 6-person home. I need an 8-person home. I need a 1-person home. Modular homes solve this problem. Next, my most favorite part about modular homes is they're fast. These can be built in the matter of days and weeks. They can be custom built, manufactured, and literally transported and placed on site, and they can be up and running in a matter of weeks. It's incredible. And we can build new housing across all boroughs of London. All boroughs of London. We just need the space, and we can put housing there and start solving the problems now. Right now in Ealing, they are using this solution to success. And you can read more about what they're doing in Ealing, and it's incredible. They're providing quick, real-world housing solutions right now using this. And the best part is this. We can custom design the communities of our future. We can literally custom design communities that have central community center hubs and things that function that I'm going to be detailing in my soon-to-be published Community First policy that is all about investing in our communities in London. They're going to start working on many of our problems. It's going to help us solve crime. It's going to help us create more work and more jobs. It's going to help us make London safer as well. So again, we've seen modular housing being used in Ealing to a high level of success, and these things can be customized. They can be built to a very high spec as well. It's incredible. Some of the high spec that these are being built on. Really incredible housing that you would want to live in, and they can be built quickly, and we can solve this housing problem fast. I'm talking that before Christmas in 2021, we can make a serious dent in our housing problem. That's a bold statement to make, and I'm going to make it on record right now. Before Christmas, as your next mayor of London in 2021, you will see us make a markable dent in the housing situation in London, something our current mayor has not been able to do in 5 years. We are going to do in a matter of months, and we are going to do it with modular housing. Let me say a few more things about what modular housing does, and one thing that I believe is important as your next mayor of London. Whatever our housing solution, I believe that financial motive must prevail. And let me be specific. That means that any developers, and we've got to have private, independent developers because they do a better job. They know how to hold people accountable. They know how to be fiscally responsible. They must have a financial motive. And they must find a way to do this for a profit so they can still create incredible structures and deliver them to a high spec. This is really important, and one of the things that certain governments in the past have failed, especially our labor governments. Again, modular housing can do this. They can they can build housing that's customized. We can also take that housing and we can relocate it if necessary. That's the beauty of this. We can refurbish it later. And so we don't have to scrap all the costs. You can put new interiors later. You can put new exteriors and still keep the critical infrastructure. It can be reused, which means there's long-term value and there's long-term life in building these, which means that private contractors are incentivized to invest in these structures. So again, modular housing is crucial. And I want to play for you a short video of just one example of modular housing. And again, this is something that was created by Dyson, one of the incredible companies here in Britain. And you can just see one example here of a modular house. And this is simple, but you see it kind of being fabricated. You see how it can be built in 1 level or 2 levels or 3 levels. It can be laid out in any way we want. It also can be moved from location to location. If we have space that opens up, if we want to make it permanent, it can be permanent as well. And again, it's high spec. It's something that honestly, any of us would be proud to live in. We would be proud to have our children grow up in these places and proud to call these places home. And that's what's most important. It's important that we respect the people that we build affordable homes for. And again, you can see this is one of the many examples of modular homes. And again, the technology is improving every single day. And as technology gets better, we can provide more and more incredible options for our housing. So again, type right now in the chat and tell me, what do you think of the idea of modular housing? Tell me your thoughts. And again, answer me these final questions. Do you personally struggle to afford to pay rent in this city, and why? Do you personally struggle to afford to buy a home? Do you believe that key workers like teachers and nurses and firefighters deserve affordable housing? And do you think the mayor has failed in his promises to build affordable housing in the city? And finally, do you think we need new leadership? I want to go to your final questions here before I tell you about my Housing First policy. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time today. I appreciate all the comments. Each one means a lot to me. Again, some great sentiment. I appreciate Arch on Instagram saying Brian Rose for mayor. I appreciate that. We've got Bestford7 saying the same thing. Nuri Amuria says it doesn't matter where you're from. We love your heart. I appreciate that. And again, I'm here to serve all Londoners. I am a Londoner. I've been a Londoner for 20 years. I love this city. And that's why I can't stand by and watch this current crop of politicians run it into the ground. It's no longer acceptable. It bothers me emotionally. And that's why I'm running for mayor. Tanak Runner on Instagram says, quote, "You are inspiring the world. So clear, realist, but still positive. Thank you for taking a stand for your community." I appreciate that, Tanak. And on that note, I think what we need for the next mayor of London is someone who can be honest and someone who can make hard decisions and someone who can tell you things that you might not want to hear right now. Someone who can say, guess what? We got to get London back to work. I know there's going to be some costs to that, but the benefits are going to outweigh those costs. I know we've got to make hard decisions about housing, but the costs are going to outweigh, the benefits are going to outweigh the costs. And that's what you need. You need a mayor who can tell you the truth, and that's what I plan to do. Naf on YouTube says, good luck, Brian. I appreciate that. Magdalene Nutmeg on Instagram says, quote, "I wish I could vote for you. I'm from Minneapolis. Hashtag Brian for mayor. Thank you so much. Look, your sentiment is enough. We appreciate you." Saz on Instagram says, quote, "Brian, you've been doing an incredible job. I've been following you since you sported a goatee. That's a long time ago since I had the facial hair. Now you are relentlessly becoming the GOAT. Thank you very much. I see the GOAT reference there. I see what you did, but I appreciate you. And look, I'm here to serve. It feels incredible, honestly, thinking of ideas that I can make this city better. It just feels amazing. Honestly, coming up with all of these incredible ideas for housing, it really inspires me, and it makes me feel like we can make a change. I walk the streets. I see the struggle in people's eyes here in this city. And honestly, I want to solve people's problems. That's what makes me happy. So let's go do this. Joseph Trending on Instagram says, go for it, Brian. I appreciate you. Christina Peterson on YouTube says, quote, "Brian Rose for mayor. I've got family in London. We could all make a change. It would be amazing to see a good, kind-hearted man in this position." I agree. We need someone who cares as your next mayor of London. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. We need someone who will tell you the truth, who is sincere in their interest to make this city better. And let's be honest, does the current mayor of London really care about Londoners? Does he really care? I think we know the answer to that. I don't think he does. We need someone who cares, who can really make the changes that we deserve as Londoners. So let's do that. Let's do that right now. Christian Fisher on Instagram says, quote, "Thank you for your hard work, Brian. I hope you get mayor of London. Keep the videos coming." I will. You can't stop us over here. You can't stop us. Trust me. Ken Boyce on YouTube says, quote, "We're watching history in the making. Brian, you're the solution." Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. And I do think we're making history. I think for the first time in British politics, we're showing that an independent voice is going to make a change. An independent candidate will be the next mayor of London. Mark my words on that. And we're going to show the world that independent voices can make change. And we're going to show the world what it looks like for a city to become world class again. I'm telling you, we're going to show the big cities of the world how we do it in London, and we're going to show them how to do it. I'm talking about the cities in America, the cities in Europe, the cities in Asia. London will be the gold standard when it comes to getting a city back to work, putting its health first, putting its transportation first, putting its housing first, putting its safety first. Mark my words, we're going to do this. A few other comments coming in here. I appreciate all of these. We got Joel Dio on Instagram saying, quote, "Are the banks doing anything to help citizens properly finance their dream home?" It's a great question. I spent 10 years in banking, and I want to have some solid, hard conversation with the banks and make sure they're contributing. At the end of the day, Joel, I want financial motive to prevail. If the banks can see modular homes as a great alternative, they'll finance them. Trust me. Financial motive prevails. Everybody wants to come in for the big win. So that's what I want to do. I want the manufacturers to prevail. I want the developers to prevail. I want the banks to prevail. And I want the citizens to win. That comes with great ideas and innovation. And we can do that. That's the thing. You know, your current crop of politicians want to give you a different narrative, but it's not true. Technology is improving all the time. We can make use of that as citizens. So yes, we want everyone to come in for the win. Ayesha on Instagram says, quote unquote, "Great point on housing. I appreciate you." Tony Holtz on YouTube says, quote, "Modular housing sounds like a great idea." It is a great idea. I appreciate you. K Steele on YouTube says, quote, "You have to be rich to buy a house or even rent in London." That's true. And we're going to change all this. Raphael Sinesta on Instagram says, quote, "On housing, we should do more and talk less." I couldn't agree with you more. We got a few other comments coming here. And finally, I just want to say, Nikki Vincent on YouTube says, quote, "Khan is a disgrace." We got Sam Roberts on YouTube that says, quote, "Do you think Sadiq Khan will agree to debate you?" Unquote. I hope he does. Honestly, I welcome the chance, but the truth is he's running scared. He doesn't even look like he wants to be in this job. He looks like a broken man, and that's okay. I don't blame the way he feels, but I'm welcome to a debate. The truth is our policies, they speak for themselves. They're all 10 times better than what's currently happening, and I think we all know that it's time for a change and that our policies are better and we're going to do a better job. But yeah, sure, I welcome as many debates as he wants. Couple other final questions is, BC on YouTube says, quote, "I like your plan for the step in the right direction for affordable housing." And finally, Voom on Instagram says, quote, "More and more people are buying and building modular homes in the U.S. My brother-in-law has his home in Southampton, New York, and built as a modular 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath house assembled in one day. It was amazing." And I'm telling you, the modular home solutions are incredible. How come we've never heard of this before? How come our two-party system never brought up a solution? It's because they have vested interest in keeping the way the system is now. It's because they have vested interest in not delivering on promises. And we're going to change all of that when I become your next mayor of London. So finally, I just want to say that my plan as your next mayor of London is to put housing first. And I want to outline exactly what I'm going to do. I promise to ensure that Londoners have affordable homes to rent and buy, period. I promise to stop talking about building homes and start building homes. I promise to ensure that our key workers, I'm talking about nurses, healthcare workers, police officers, and firefighters can affordably live in this city. And that includes people in culture and the arts as well. Like our comments earlier, I appreciate you. I ensure to prioritize the building of modular housing in boroughs throughout this city to make housing affordable in London. I want to make immediate use of the 30,000 empty houses in the city and start putting those in the hands of people who can't afford to buy or to rent. I want to create financial incentives. This is important for private contractors, banks, developers to get on board with us and build these affordable housing. Nothing moves things forward like the invisible hand of capitalism. Let's get them all involved and let's move forward. And finally, I want to enable local councils to borrow and invest strategically to go ahead and help us with these innovative, low-cost solutions for housing. Let's get everybody on board and let's take this all the way. So that's my Housing First policy. If you want to learn more about my policies, go to our website. The big ones is I want to get London back to work. Right now, we can getting us back to work right now. That means safely, but that means our hospitality sector comes back. Our gym sector comes back. We get tourism back in this city. We enable the arts. We get London back to work. We could be doing this right now, and yet our current mayor of London crusades for a lockdown. He actually is doing everything possible not to allow us to work. We could change that right away. I want to make London safe. I want to reduce violent crime. I want to reduce knife crime. I want to put more police on the streets. We can do that right now. I want to put our family first. I want to enable all of our family structures in any way, shape, or form, from single-parent homes to two-parent homes to people being raised by extended family. I want to put family first and find a way we can enable that structure. I want to put transport first and finally fix our bankrupt TfL system. I want to put science first and make sure we are using the data to make our decisions. I want to put your health first and use proactive measures. Let's invest in our health today. You know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Let's get ourselves healthy today as opposed to asking the NHS to foot the bill when we're in bad health, when we're overweight, when we're sick. Let's not do that. And let's put education first and make sure our children get the best education. Right now, there are literally 22% of our students missing in secondary schools right now. Let's stop that right now. And all of this is detailed in my Transform London 2021 Plan of Attack, which is on my website, brianformayor.london. I'm excited. I'm excited for this journey. We've got 5 months left. If you haven't yet, please tell your friends and family about what we're doing here. We are serious about this. We have the best ideas, we have the best policies, we have the best energy, and most Londoners are behind our campaign. You know this, I know this. So share this with your friends and family. Tell them about what we're doing together as a collective. Again, I can't do this alone, and quite frankly, I don't want to do this alone. I want to do this with you. This is a dialogue that we will continue when we all move into City Hall. I'm going to find spaces for all of us, I promise. And we're going to continue talking on social every day, and we're going to find these solutions together. But I promise you the best idea is going to win. Not some, two-party system, not some lobbyist, not some politician that wants to get reelected for 40 years. The best idea is going to win. We're going to make hard choices. We're going to tell you hard truths, and we're going to make the best decisions to make London a world-class city once again. We're going to show the world what it looks like to innovate, and we're going to be proud again to be Londoners. I'm super excited about this whole thing. I'm excited about this process. So thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing everyone tonight in Homerton for our first stop of the world tour, Brian for Mayor. I'm coming to see you in your borough. So go to our website now and sign up. If you want to volunteer as well and support us, you can do all that. I'm excited. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week on Real Deal. Take care.
At London Real, we believe that individual transformation can change the world. Join us and start your journey today.